articles in top magazines all over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you all to please welcome our next speaker, Dr. Amjad Waheed.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. My presentation, I think you'll have to focus more on basically the slides, and मैं थोड़ा से कैमरामैन से रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि कैमरे की लाइट डायरेक्टली इस पे ना पड़े ताकि ये नज़र आता रहे, बिकॉज ज़्यादा मेरा जो फोकस होगा वो स्लाइड्स पे होगा. Okay. We'll start with the social and economic dynamics of Pakistan. And next slide. Human Development Index, which is very well, actually it was initiated by Dr. Mehboob Haq for United Nations and accepted as, the main sort of criteria in terms of human development. And Pakistan's ranking is 141 out of 182 countries, and I have also compared Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Korea. So obviously their ranking is, much higher than ours. And so we are, and what are the key indicators in this indicator? A long and healthy life, knowledge, education, and a decent standard of living, basically the per capita income. Now, if we look at life expectancy, we are 118 out of 176 countries. The life expectancy is 66 years. Adult literacy rate at 54% as per, government. Ranked 134 out of 151 countries. Youth literacy 69%, ranked 109 out of 122 countries for which the data was available. And these are the rankings done by World Bank or United Nations. Combined school enrollment at 40%, ranked 169 out of 177 countries. Per capita income relatively better, 2,500 in terms of purchasing power, 132 out of 181 countries. Now, in terms of education, there are very few countries behind us. We are 169 out of 177. This is the combined school enrollment. And which are these countries which are below us? Bangladesh, which actually this is 2008, and Bangladesh has crossed us now. Togo, Bhutan, East Timor, Cote d'Ivoire, Central Asian Republic, Mozambique, Senegal, Benin, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Chad, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Niger, Afghanistan, and Mali. These are the 10 or 12 countries in the world where the school enrollment is below Pakistan. Not the type of company we would like to keep, but this is where we stand. And if you talk about investments, in the long term, the most important determinant of success of investments is education. Several years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when I was visiting US and talking to the fund managers there and showing them some numbers on the earnings per share of HUPCO and PTC and 4G Fertilizer, one of the fund managers asked me, what is the school, enrollment in Pakistan? And for a minute I was surprised because I was here talking about numbers of growth in HUPCO and returns on PTC, and he's talking about school enrollment in Pakistan. And basically he told me that, if a country does not have a high literacy rate, then it cannot sustain its economy, and if it cannot sustain its economy, it cannot sustain its corporate sector. So in the long term, and if you look at most of the developed world and even some of the developing world, they look at 10, 15, 20-year scenarios, when they invest. So even if you look at, let's say, 20 years from now, and if you look at the school enrollment and the level of education in Pakistan, I'm afraid even the long-term prospects of investments do not seem very good looking at the education standard in Pakistan. If you look at some other indicators, rule of law, we are ranked 94 out of 140, corruption index 99 out of 140, human poverty index 101 out of 135, population earning less than $2 a day, 38 out of 100. And the key reasons I believe we are where we are is that if you look at health spending, it is 0.4% of GDP. 175 out of 176 countries for which the data was available. So this is the poor commitment to healthcare in Pakistan. If you look at education, it's, I think this number is flawed. I think as you heard Dr. Ataur Rahman mentioned that last year the spending on education was 1.3% of GDP. Okay, if you look at the average of these countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Korea, they are spending about 4% of GDP on education. We are spending 1.3% of GDP on education. Yeah, here it says 2, but this was 2007 and 8. It has now come down to 1.3% of GDP. If you look at defense spending, our defense spending is about double as that of other countries who we call Asian tigers. So one of the reasons of low spending on education and healthcare is defense spending, but this is not the only reason. Tax collection, if you look at only 9% of GDP, is another reason. We don't like to tax our elite, I think the waste on these government organizations like WAPDA and steel mill and soil is another reason why we don't have money for education and healthcare. So there are several reasons. Okay. Now, if you want the economy to grow, you need spending on education, healthcare, population planning, education, science and technology. You heard Dr. Atta mention these. Physical and human infrastructure, private sector role, law and order. These are the things that drive the economy. And this is all where we have been lacking. So what you see as a result that if you look at these Asian emerging markets, and this includes Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, and Korea, their per capita income was $500 in 1965, and today it's $12,000. So it has grown 24 times. Ours was $230, and today it's about $1,000, so it has grown by about 4.3 times. So the economy has not grown fast. And why? Because the inputs that the economy needs in terms of education, healthcare, infrastructure, those were lacking. Had we grown at the same pace as these countries, the per capita income in Pakistan would be about $5,000 to $6,000 rather than $1,000, which means everybody would be 4 or 5 times, or 5 to 6 times wealthier than what he or she is today. So I think there's a need of a combined effort because when we work in our offices, obviously we give in a lot. We leave office 8 or 7 or 9 at night. Okay, we put in a lot of attention, but really a lot of what's going to happen to our prosperity and well-being is determined by what's going to happen to the economy, what's going to happen to the macro picture, and how much time we spend trying to improve the macro situation, trying to have a voice to change things. So I think the focus is too much on just trying to do well in the company and too little on trying to be a good civil society member to try to change things on the top. Obviously there are pluses, and I think Najam just mentioned the role of media, the civil society, the judiciary now. We are neighbors to 2 countries which will be the superpowers of the world in the next 20 years, China and India, and that we can look at as an opportunity if we play our cards right. We have the potential, we have the natural resources as well. We talk about charcoal, we talk about other things that we have not utilized. We are at a very, very sort of primitive stage, so it's easy for us to quickly start growing at 7%, 8% if somebody starts putting things even halfway right. Next. Now coming to more recent, basically what has happened in the last 4 or 5 years.